Chicago, a city of broad blue collar shoulders, rich history, vibrant culture, stunning architecture, and amazing food.
But did you know that a Latino community in Chicago saved the city from a major economic crisis that would change its history forever?
Welcome to Eat By Travel. We are Jenny and Kevin, two Mexican Americans from Chicago who actually live in Mexico. Our parents are from Zacatecas, San Luis Potosí, and Veracruz, but we've always wondered why our parents decided to migrate to the coldest city in the United States.
And actually, in that process, we learned that our families are part of that migration that saved the city of Chicago. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe so you can join us and be a part of this journey of appreciation for Mexico and our Mexican roots.
To tell you this story, we came to a neighborhood near and dear to our hearts, Little Village on Chicago's 26th Street. But first, you need to know how La Villita became the Mexico of the Midwest.
After the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, German, Polish, and Czech immigrants settled in the community of South Lawndale. But in the 1960s, South Lawndale was renamed Little Village to reflect the Eastern European community that was now living there. The name change was intended to separate the community from North Lawndale, which was now becoming more associated with African American residents due to something called redlining, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. Today, over 80% of the Little Village population is of Mexican descent. So we'll talk about how that population change happened in a moment, but we also want to tell you about our personal experiences in Little Village.
Both of our families, when they first migrated to Chicago, landed in this neighborhood. And we have so many memories, good and bad, of this neighborhood.
Unfortunately, like as culturally rich and beautiful as this neighborhood is, Little Village is also one of the most unsafe neighborhoods in Chicago. We both grew up around a lot of gang violence, crime of all sorts before our families moved to Cicero, which is right next to Little Village.
But without this neighborhood, honestly, our parents probably wouldn't have flourished and learned about Chicago as much as they did.
Right.
So we do owe a lot to this neighborhood.
And I don't think Chicago would have survived without all the people from this neighborhood.
Yep. So when our families arrived to Chicago, Chicago is known for having buildings with multiple apartments. A lot of our families arrived together and they stayed together within one house. This neighborhood right here, my family is from my Benitez side, my Veracruz side, lived around this area, so I have a lot of fond memories, like coming to get cheeseburgers here at George's, coming to McDonald's. One of my most painful experiences in my life was actually at this McDonald's. My mom came to buy me a Happy Meal. I was like 5 years old, and somebody was literally shot inside the McDonald's while we were eating. So yeah, my family, you know, we decided to move out of this area, but I have so many different beautiful memories. Sometimes it's hard to come back to, really, to be honest with you.
I remember this is where that poor 8-year-old girl received a bullet to the head while crossing the street with her mom. She was literally holding her mom's hand. And I'm sorry to be bringing up all these painful things, but like those are the things that comes to mind when we're walking through here. Like we love this place, but it's so hard to continue living with these kinds of things because they keep happening. And a lot of these things happen not because the victims themselves are involved in the gang violence, but it's because they're often just victims of gang initiations.
Reckless violence, reckless driving, just dumb things, bad associations, but you know, that's the hard thing about living in Chicago, right?
And it's honestly one of the reasons that we chose to move to Mexico. We're like, if there's gonna be crime and danger everywhere, might as well, I don't know, might as well be in Mexico. But in these kinds of situations, it's really important to focus on the positive, on the beauty of this neighborhood. And it's that you'll find a lot of shops, restaurants with things imported from Mexico, selling Mexican type food, clothing, shoes.
So the thing is that even though we left Little Village never left us. Why?
True.
Because this community is, you could never have to speak English in this community. Everybody speaks Spanish, right? But there's also a lot of resources too that we get, like elotes, comida, traditional food that you would find in Mexico.
Get your taxes done in Spanish.
Yeah, there's so many resources here, and that's why so many Mexicans would travel or arrive to this pocket, because there was opportunities for them to purchase furniture on loans, to purchase food, clothing on loans without having credit history or any sort of resource.
Yeah, like you arrive to a new country and you don't have a credit history. How are you gonna take out a loan or buy furniture? So that's really nice. And so as we're seeing, as we're walking down 26th Street, it's a bunch of businesses, but also informal businesses, street vendors, selling toys, shampoo, raspados, chicharrones, yum, elotes.
We could even ship some packages to Mexico from here.
Which
we
we
actually
did.
used that resource when we were living in Mexico City.
And we needed to ship things from here to Mexico.
Yeah, we sent out a big box full of stuff directly to Mexico City.
That guy has tepache. Yum. Oh, ya se está antojando la
I love
paleta.
this one. Look at
What?
this one. I want it.
Cute.
This is what I feel right at home. Aw, can I have it?
It's cute.
Love it.
Fine. Should we buy it for him, guys? What do we do? Ah, he's so cute. Aw.
Look at this one. It's a Mexico jersey. And in the back you have San Juan-Tadeo, which a lot of people celebrate in their ranchos.
Yeah, like my family.
Your
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
that are in Durango. It's so cool.
Es el santo de Villanueva. Doesn't it feel like we're in Mexico right now?
Yeah, it does. The funny thing is that normally Jenny is really excited about these markets, but in this case, I'm the one that's excited. They have a lot of cool stuff. Look, another bear.
I am, but you know what puts me off a little is the prices. Aw. Servicios Médicos La Vita Access. This was our family pediatrician. This is where I would come see Dr. Britz, and he would tell me all about growing up as a teenager. Oh, it's so cute. I have good memories with this doctor here. Wow, I cannot remember the last time I walked down this street. Like, we've driven by sometimes, but walked here. They don't. There was a little piece of cement that was like a raised step that used to be right there. Look. It's flat now, but it wasn't always. I remember riding my bike, crashing into this and doing like a flip, and I just like flipped over and ended up over here somehow. The bike was over there. I must have been like 10 years old. One of the many scars on me. That was a good memory. But I grew up, well, we both grew up as part of the generation that spent their free time on the streets after school, playing, kicking a ball around, playing tag. I remember having a bunch of friends. Most of my friends were boys, so I had a little bit of a tomboy face until I hit puberty and started to like feel self-conscious about boys. But for the most part, like, this was my playground, this whole block right here.
Yeah, my mom would have never let me walk around this neighborhood by myself at all. Like one time we were at one of my favorite taquerias, which we'll go to later, and it was after homecoming, my freshman year of high school, and my friend and I got checked by gangbangers and got bottles thrown at with my mom there. Like, yo, yeah, yo, this slide is pretty raw though. Look at that.
That is cool. I don't think this was there before. But 2518, wow, it's the exact same door. Holy cow. So this yard right here, this is where I would make mud pies and play with the hose. So my family, we lived on the bottom floor, but the upstairs neighbors used to babysit us sometimes. And I have a lot of interesting memories here. I won't go through them all, but one of the main ones was listening for the paletero or the ice cream truck and running out. I always counted out my 100 pennies in advance, make sure I had my dollar ready. Oh, there's a dog here. Hey. It's okay, I used to live here. We're cool. Well, let's keep walking. I don't want to spook the people who live here now, but we must have lived here like 3-4 years. So my family moved around a lot, from Logan Square to Pilsen to Little Village, and if you follow the trajectory, which was the 90s into the early 2000s, that's when a lot of gentrification was happening in those neighborhoods. So we're kind of part of that equation. And walking towards the corner is a very now famous restaurant cafe that was featured in a movie. And I remember when they were filming this movie, I stood on that corner where you see those guys in the purple and black shirts, standing in that corner with my sign, waiting to catch a glimpse of Will Ferrell, and I was so excited. They were filming a movie called Stranger Than Fiction. I don't think it was a very great movie, and he must have been in a really bad mood that day because he saw me and my other little friends like waving excitedly at him, and he just like ignored us. I was like, oh, fine. Yeah, my dreams were crushed. So this is the Catedral Cafe, right?
Yeah, which is kind of ironic for me because these were prohibited grounds for me, like I was saying. I would never come around this area. Once that movie was filmed, this specific place became really famous and they established a nice business in there that now they have tours from downtown Chicago coming to Little Village to have people come eat here.
Wait, you're telling me
Yeah.
that people pay money to get brought here?
Yeah. To
Okay.
this neighborhood to eat at this place.
Meanwhile, I was coming out in like chanclas and ripped shorts and t-shirts
Yep.
and like chasing the ice cream man, and people were taking tours here. That is weird. It's really cool to see how busy this place is because it has a traditional Mexican flair, but with a very modern approach to it. So the menu reflects that. You've got iced mixed chata Mexican coffee with a hint of horchata, which is cool. But we went and got the rompochino, cappuccino with rompope or Mexican eggnog. Kevin got the café de olla because we gotta go traditional. But man, I'm looking at that mixed chata now. That coffee with horchata sounds good. So this place is famous for their chilaquiles, but they have all kinds of omelets, breakfast, brunch, and taco dinner type of items for the menu, including a whole page of sweets. Wow. We already mentioned that South Lawndale was renamed Little Village to reflect its Bohemian Eastern European population. So when and how did it become La Villita?
It starts with the ongoing economic crisis after the Great Depression. In the 1950s and 60s, Chicago began to lose its population due to the manufacturing jobs leaving the city. The economic decline throughout the city led to unemployment, a surge in violence, businesses closing, and the city was trying to figure out how to revamp their economy, but it kept losing residents to the suburbs.
When African American families started moving into the North Lawndale community, the Eastern European residents of South Lawndale started leaving to the suburbs in part due to the economic downfall and decline of the city, but also because racism. They didn't want to live next to African American neighbors. Sorry, I had a moment. You gotta watch your back around here. You gotta be ready to run. That's not even a joke, honestly, sorry. Okay, back to the point. In efforts to appeal to the Euro-descendant buyers, real estate agents started practicing what's called redlining, which is the practice of manipulating the real estate market to create racially segregated neighborhoods, which is common in Chicago. This kept African American families from being able to buy homes in what is today Little Village. Real estate agents were using Little Village as a racial buffer between the black residents of North Lawndale and the white residents of Southern Lawndale. The Dole's real estate company continued selling houses to Spanish-speaking immigrants until Spanish became the predominant language in the neighborhood, transforming it to La Villita.
Papá trabajaba cuando vivía en Chicago. Siempre.
Porque después de que mi madre se murió, mi hermano Juan Frausto me trajo para Chicago y me apoyó en todos los aspectos como de estudiar, saqué mi GED y empecé a trabajar. Estábamos viviendo en La Villita, un lugar muy bonito, y empecé a trabajar y estudiar inglés y me metí a trabajar en el trabajo donde estoy hasta ahorita últimamente en el Dre Hotel en Chicago por más de 45 años y la vida me ha tratado muy bien aquí en Chicago y cuando yo voy para el rancho ya no conozco gente que son de mis edades, ya no hay nadie que yo conozca. Todos ya se fueron o se murieron unos también. Y aquí en Chicago, pues estoy viviendo el 70% de mi vida la he vivido en Chicago y de aquí no me pienso mover.
Pues yo viví en Veracruz con mi abuelita y salí de la escuela, de la primaria, y pues de ahí me dijeron que no había dinero para seguir estudiando. Y pues en realidad yo no supe quién tomó la decisión de mandarme para acá, para los Estados Unidos, porque aquí tenía yo unas tías y pues me mandaron para acá a trabajar. Pero pues yo por mí, si yo hubiera sido por mí, yo me hubiera quedado estudiando allá. Pero no tuve la oportunidad de seguir estudiando.
Nosotros aquí estamos en Chicago Estamos nacidos en Michoacán. El papá de mi abuelo, él se vino contratado por los braceros y mi abuelo se vino buscando a su papá. Entonces él en ese tiempo pues iba y regresaba a Michoacán y sin darse cuenta que él ya tenía sus documentos, se los habían dado sus documentos sin saber que eran realmente sus documentos, hasta que un día lo van agarrando, le van diciendo, señor, ¿por qué está pasando así? Si usted tiene sus documentos. Y por esa razón, la mayoría estamos aquí en Chicago.
Chicago lost close to 1 million residents from 1960 to 1990. During that same time frame, Mexicans were having their biggest wave of migration to Chicago. Chicago never fully recovered their loss in population, but they welcomed a new wave of immigrants that would help rescue the city's economic health.
La noche que Chicago se murió.
Here we are, cruising, because this is what you do.
What you do back in the day.
In 26th Street.
Come cruise, check out stores, elotes, a ver qué se te antoja in the car.
I
Blast your
know.
music as much as you can. A lot of the businesses that we used to come see are not around anymore, like Lalo's and other places, but there's still some really good OG ones, like the Hostelería right here, some lavanderias.
The quinceañera shops. 26th Street, Little Village, is the hub, the center for quinceañera shopping. Everything you need for quinceañera, you'll find it here. Central Park. Oh, this is where I went to school. This is where I went to middle school, at Rosario Castellanos.
Did you ever go to church at St. Agnes? 'Cause
I
that's where
did,
went.
yeah. Your family went to that church too?
Yeah,
Oh, so
that's
cool.
where I did my first communion.
St. Agnes, yeah.
This is the neighborhood where my parents met, like around this neighborhood. My mom lived on one block and my dad lived at the other, like literally one block away from each other, but they met on a night of clubbing at a bar, salsa dancing. Wait, isn't that the place where your mom just made us a caldo de pollo?
I don't know about recently, but I do remember coming here as a kid, buying a live chicken. Well, it was a little baby chick, and it was my pet. In that house that we were at earlier, in that big front yard, I was raising my little pet chick until it became a caldo de pollo.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where you can come get live poultry. Can't get any fresher than this. Pizza Nova, did you ever go there?
Yeah, my mom used to like that pizza. Dang, in Nuevo Leon. According to my dad, this is one of the very, very first Mexican restaurants he remembers here in 26th Street. And I didn't realize, but they're the ones who put this beautiful mural up there.
Wow,
And
it's
beautiful. It's been like that
gorgeous.
for a couple of years, maybe like 5-6 years, so as far as I can remember, and they keep it really, really nice.
It's beautiful. You know what's crazy? Remember when we asked your dad if he had ever met anyone named Jorge Covarrubias?
Yeah.
And he said he'd had
Yeah,
at
yeah.
this restaurant. Jorge Covarrubias is my father's father. Was also from San Luis Potosí, and they met decades before we ever met.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How cool
yeah.
is that? Yeah.
Yeah. This right here is Michael Peña Jr.'s favorite taqueria, Totonilco. He was just here the other day with John Leguizamo. They invited me, but I wasn't here, you know, so I couldn't come.
Okay, yeah.
Honestly, it's probably one of the most famous taquerias. You ask any big Chicagoan, they're like, Totonilco is the best, but not for me.
Oh no?
Nope.
Where
not for
is
me.
your favorite taqueria in Little Village?
I'll take you soon. All right, so this taqueria Los Gallos is my favorite taqueria in all of Chicago. One, because the tacos are amazing. Two, the carne en su jugo is really good. And three, because it holds a special place in my heart, because as far as I could remember, this is the very first taqueria experience I had in my life. I remember being like 4, maybe 5 years old, and coming here really late with my dad. After picking up my dad from work downtown, we would come here and have tacos. I remember this place, it was a little hole in the wall. There was like 2 or 3 tables with a couple of chairs, and then it just transformed and they almost bought out half of the block. If you come to Chicago, come and have a carne en su jugo, which is meat in its juices. It's a very delicious soup with a lot of meats, bacon, carne asada, which is steak, and they put frijoles de la olla. Delicious. By the 1990s, La Calle 26, the neighborhood's main commercial strip, have become the most active commercial corridor, second to the magnificent Mile on Michigan Avenue. Little Village resurrected Chicago's economy and its future.
Today, Little Village is known as the Mexico of the Midwest. La Villita is an example of how immigrants can transform cities. We're sure that there are more examples of cities and towns around the world who have experienced such transformations. So if you know of any of these examples, we'd love to hear about them in the comments below. Se cuidan, se bañan y nos vemos en la próxima. Chao.